Nice and simple. What could possibly go wrong? Hello, my name's Sam and welcome to my channel So Let's Sparkle with Sam. So my channel is all about sewing, positivity, learning and a little bit of sparkle. So if that sounds like something you would like to listen to on a weekly basis, then don't forget to give me a thumbs up, like and subscribe if you haven't already. Whew. This is a little pre-warning. This is a bumper one, so if you grab yourself a cuppa, your favourite glass of something, strap yourself in. It's going to be a bumper Friday Sews style video. I've even got my cue cards. If you tuned in last week, you will know that I had a whole sewing weekend planned for the Easter weekend. So Mr. Sparkles was called away. He needed to go away for a few days and I was left home alone. So I'm going to be talking about my solo sewing weekend. I'm going to be talking, my main kind of story in today is going to be all about the maze pattern, which is patterned by Little Rosy Cheek. Simple or not simple? Some secret projects that I've been working on, a lovely social sewing session, a fabric shop trip, and my plans for Sew Toon. Now, if that's not exciting, worth saying for, I don't know what is. So we'll start with Friday. Let's go back to Friday. Mr. Sparkles had gone away. So Friday was for me was mainly about kind of my sewing weekend beginning, plans, tracing, cutting out, kind of getting myself organised, getting my room organised. Now you might notice that I'm in my OG sewing room today rather than in my studio. So the reason that I'm in my OG sewing room is that everything has been very busy this weekend and obviously I've got a lot of projects out and my studio is being used for teaching today. So it's all nice and tidy, and when I tend to do these vlogs, my sewing space can get quite messy afterwards. So I thought, right, well, let's keep it all up here and keep the studio nice and sparkly and ready for the students later today. So yes, so my sewing weekend began on Friday. I did lots of tracing, lots of cutting, lots of prep, and I had so many things cut out and ready to do. And it's one of those things, you know, when you've got a period of time, you think that you can do a lot more. Well, I think that I could do a lot more in the time that I've actually got. So I thought I'd cut out far too many things, but as it turns out, I got quite a lot of them done. So I was really pleased with myself. So Saturday was just full of like that kind of energy and joy, and I was ready to just kind of get going and sew. So I thought I'd start myself off with a nice simple project. So I thought I was starting myself out with a nice simple project. Now this is nothing to do with the pattern. This is all to do with Sam's brain and the way Sam's brain works, and me coming up with all of these marvellous ideas of how I'm going to approach a pattern and not quite getting it right. So let me tell you a little bit about Little Rosy Cheeks. So the lovely Victoria and Little Rosy Cheeks, she has released her very first adult pattern. She does lots of children's patterns and they are amazing. I don't really sew for children, so I was so excited to have an adult pattern from Victoria. I'll pop a picture of the pattern up here so you can see it in its full glory. And I was just so excited to get it sewn up. And I had seen Victoria and the lovely Jen from Generates wearing their versions of the maze dress. So I was full of ideas of how I wanted to adapt and how I wanted to change mine. And for the first one, I just wanted to go fun. I just wanted it to feel fun and go fun. And, you know, that was the idea. So I have got some footage of me doing it. I'll either put it at the end or I'll pop it in as, you know, as we go. So I started with the bodice. So basically the bodice is like a t-shirt bodice, and then the skirt is a woven fabric skirt. So you start, but the t-shirt has got darts in. So let me just pop this side and show you what I started with. So I started with this. Yes, it's eggs, folk. It was Easter weekend. I was always going to do an eggy make, wasn't I? So these lovely fried egg fabric from Little Eggs fabric that I'd got on a pre-order. I've been waiting for this for such the longest time. And I really ummed and ahed about what colours I wanted for the ribbing. So Victoria suggests that you use ribbing rather than self fabric for the neckline, which I've done. And it was almost, you know, when you go through your stash and it's almost meant to be. So I had a few different colours of blue, but nothing matched quite right with what I wanted. And then as I was digging into my stash, I just saw this little piece and it was just enough to get the neckband out. And I was like, well, that's meant to be. And I think you'll agree, it goes really nicely. So really, the bodice part of it went together really simply. I popped the darts in. I did think very carefully about the placement of these eggs. I did kind of decide that the best thing for me to do is to actually concentrate on making sure that these fried eggs were right down the centre, so that your eyes are drawn to the centre of these rather than where any other fried eggs might end up. And I think I've done a pretty good job of doing that. And to be honest, if I ended up with a fried egg boob, it wasn't going to be the end of the world. You know, worse things happen. And yeah, so that was that. That bit, nice and simple. Tick, tick, tick. I've gone for the little pleated version so that you end, when you finish the skirt, it will all become clear why it hasn't got a skirt on. Then you have this little pleat that's kind of goes over the top, so that kind of hides, if you like, any of the kind of gathering or pleating or anything that you plan to do to the skirt. So that's finished. Where it didn't go according to plan was my original fabric that I was using for the skirt was this, because the idea was to have like an Easter brunch kind of idea. So you'd have the eggs and then this would be your breakfast tablecloth idea. And I had this in my stash. It'd been in my stash for a really, really long time. It's gorgeous. It's gingham, very in at the moment. It's seersucker. Now, I didn't think that that was going to be a problem, the seersucker. However, when I pleated the skirt and popped it on, I just rough pleated it to begin with. I put the pockets on and everything, rough pleated it and basted it on and popped it on to check that it fit. Two things became really obvious to me. The first one was that in the next one, I am definitely going to lengthen the bodice slightly. I don't know why I didn't do that. I am only 5'4", but I always have to lengthen the bodice. All of my height is in my torso. I generally add an inch to most bodice pieces. I don't know why I didn't think to do that. I think in my head, I was thinking, well, Victoria and Jen are both quite tall and theirs seem to finish in, you know, but we're all different, aren't we? We're all made differently. I think in my head I thought it would be fine, but actually I do need to do that. So that was the first thing. And then what exacerbated that problem was, because it was so high, this skirt in its bouncy fullness made me look like a hot air balloon. I'm not even exaggerating. It was not a pretty sight. Yeah, I have no problems with full skirts, and you know, and that look is great for some people, but for me, because I am quite straight up and down, it just gave, I looked like something you would put on top of a toilet roll in the 1970s. It was not a look that I was planning to recreate. You know, don't get me wrong, I love the crazy. I'm a fried egg crazy. You know, let's get dressed like a breakfast, no problem. Do I want to look like a hot air balloon? No. So then I went on to plan B. So I knew what I needed to do was change the fabric, but I didn't have any cotton fabric, cotton gingham. So what I've done is I have gone to the lovely Minerva and ordered some, but then when we went out this week, I actually found some in a John Lewis, and I have bought 2 meters of this, which is a lovely crisp cotton. Now, I know what you're saying, it's a completely different colour, but just bear with me. I actually think this is going to be better, because even though it is not the same kind of blue, I'm not trying to match it. That's not my, you know, that's not my kind of purpose, my goal. My goal is to make it look like a breakfast dress. And I think that this blue is kind of, yeah, is nice. So hopefully with the change of fabric, and I'm also going to not gather at all, I'm just going to pleat, and I'm going to sew all of the pleats down. So hopefully that will take some of the volume out. And I'm also going to size down. So even though I've done the bodice as a size 12, which is the correct size for my bust size, I'm going to do this 2 sizes smaller, so that I don't have so much fabric to because there's plenty big enough to go around my waist. I mean, it's like more than, I could do the smallest size and there'd be more than enough fabric, but just to kind of give me a little bit less fabric to have to pleat in, and to give me, you know, to not give me the hot air balloon look that I had. So yeah, so was I a bit disappointed? Yes, because I'd had the whole day to sew, and the whole day didn't go to plan. But was I disappointed? No, as well. So yes and no, because I learned so much. I had a fantastic day figuring out pleats, figuring out, you know, the pattern, really getting to know the pattern. So no, it wasn't wasted. So that is now, I'm going to talk more about my plans for this weekend. That has now become my plans for this weekend, because obviously I didn't get it finished and I didn't have the fabric over the weekend. So yeah, so that got parked. So day 5 was Sunday. No, it wasn't. So the next day was Sunday, and Sunday was all about secret squirrel projects. So in the months of April and May, I have 4, yes, you heard me correctly, 4. I've signed myself up for 4 collaborations. I don't know why I do this kind of thing, but I do, and it's very exciting, and I can't wait to share them all with you. But obviously I won't share them with you today because they're all going to have their separate videos, but it was great to have a whole day just for secret squirrel projects. So I got a lot of toiling done, I got a lot of tracing done, I got a lot of planning done, and all of those are either, one of them is almost finished, one of them is half finished, one of them is kind of very much further down planned, and the other one I've now got all of the bits and pieces that I need for it. So yeah, that's very exciting. So although it wasn't sewing as such, it was a very productive day for my secret squirrel projects. Yeah. So also on the Sunday, because Sunday was Easter Sunday, and I think my family, well, my daughter was a little bit worried that I was going to be all on my own for the whole weekend, which, to be perfectly honest, I didn't mind. It was lovely. I love my own company. I'm great company, so I had a great time. However, I think she was worried that I may eat cheese for dinner every single night, which I do have a tendency to do if I'm on my own, cheese and crumpets or something similar. So she invited me over for a lovely meal, and I'll pop some pictures of some of her a baking and her lovely meal. So we had an absolutely glorious meal on Sunday. Yeah, she pulled out all the stops. We had a lovely lasagna. We didn't do roast dinner because, yeah, there was no need. We had a lovely lasagna. Lasagna is one of my favourite meals anyway, because I just think it's hearty and delicious. A couple of glasses of wine and some lovely Easter cake and treats. So that was really lovely, and it kind of broke up the weekend for me. And then when I got back in the evening, Joe had got back because he'd been away, and my lovely baby Sparkles. So we watched Wonka on the telly, the Timothée Chalamet, because it was Easter and it felt like I needed to watch a film with chocolate in it. So we watched that, and I really enjoyed it, actually. Really enjoyed it. Oh, excuse me, itchy nose. So that was Sunday. And then on Monday was Social Sparkle again. So I had my Social Sparkle session on Friday night, and then I had my Social Sparkle session again on Monday morning. And I ummed and ahed about putting a Social Sparkle session on Easter Monday, on the bank holiday, because I was thinking maybe a lot of people would be off doing different things, and some people were, and there were a few regulars that were missing because they were off having wonderful time. But we got quite a few new members join because it was a Monday and because they weren't at work. So it was lovely, and I'm so glad that I did it. It was a really lovely session. It was lovely to see so many faces. There was lots of positivity in the group, lots of learning going on, which I love. Yeah, it was a really, I know I don't always talk about the Social Sparkle sessions a lot, because obviously this is a bit of a different one for my vlog, but I have to say it was a really good session, and I really enjoyed it, and it was just really nice vibes. And then also on Monday I got this Stevie slipover, which is this gorgeous thing here sewn up. So those of you who watched my Stitch Festival video will have known that I bought this lovely fabric from Sister Mintaka. It's absolutely gorgeous, but it was very expensive, and I could only really justify buying half a metre. So I bought half a metre. I'll bring my lovely lady friend a little bit closer to you. And as you can see, it's got this lovely kind of quilted effect, and then the sparkly stars. And I just think it's absolutely gorgeous. So I made the Stevie slipover. Now, I have made this before, so I had a good idea of what I needed to do to make it work. So this fabric here, for the Stevie slipover, you need a knit fabric with some significant stretch. This hasn't really got a lot of stretch in it, but I'm using the ribbing, which is from Fabric Obsession. Now, I believe that this ribbing did appear in one of the Fabric Obsession subscription boxes. I don't sign up to the subscription boxes, but when I went to their open day, it was one of the first things that I went for, because you know, if you can't have sparkly ribbing, you know, what can you have? I mean, how amazing is that? I needed to have some of that in my life. So I used that for the neckband, the arm bands, and also the band at the bottom. I did my normal things that I do when I make a Stevie. So I extended the Stevie by, I normally extend it by 1 inch on the band and 1 inch on the fabric. Because I didn't want to waste any of this length, I actually ended up extending it by about an 1.5 inches, maybe even 2 inches, just to use the full length of the fabric. And then I ended up making this a little bit narrower. But, you know, overall, I added my kind of full 2 inches. And yeah, this was a size bigger than before because it doesn't have any stretch in it. So instead of making the 12, I made the 14, and it fits like a glove. It fits really well. I have actually worn it I worn it kind of to try it on with just a vest top underneath, so that I had kind of bare arms, and I love that look. I used to wear that look all of the time. And so maybe when the weather is a bit nicer like it is at the moment, I could just wear it without anything on underneath. I could equally wear it with a thermal underneath, and I could probably get away with a shirt underneath as well if it was quite a thin shirt, because it is more tightly fitted than some of my other ones, and that's just done on the fabric. But I'm not gonna lie, I absolutely love that. So bear with, I dropped everything on the floor. So another thing that I made on the Monday, I haven't actually got with me because I have left it downstairs in the studio because I want to show one of my students, but it is a make that I've made a few times before, and it is the Wardrobe by Me Builder Tee. I'm going to try and get myself a photo in it and pop it up here before I release this video. If I don't, you will probably see it on an Instagram near me soon. And it's the Wardrobe by Me tee, and I made a 3/4 length one with the soft scoop neck because I love that, and it's in a lovely cobalt blue. And the reason that I made that was that I've been going through some of my kind of ready to wear clothes and some of my kind of t-shirts and things in my drawer, and I have a cobalt blue t-shirt that has seen better days, and I wear it all the time and I love it, but it's got to go in the bin. You know, it's not even good for the charity shop. It might get torn up and made into cloths for washing windows. It's literally that bad. It's not good. But the reason I didn't want to throw it, or the reason it's got to that state, is I didn't want to throw it away because I wear it so often. So I thought, let's make myself a nice cobalt blue t-shirt, which I have, and I love it. So yeah, so that's really good. As I said, excuse me, I have got cue cards today because it is a bumper one, and I knew I was going to forget something if I didn't write something down. So then that takes us to Tuesday. Tuesday was all about finishing things off, taking pictures, all of that kind of thing. It was a glorious day on Tuesday. So I did manage to get some pictures of some of my secret squirrel things. I'm also going to be releasing a video next week for a Beyond the Pink door make, which I've got finished, which again is also secret. And just a time to tidy up, reset my space, kind of, and get ready for the return of Mr. Sparkles. So Mr. Sparkles did indeed return on, he actually returned Tuesday night. We went to our normal pub quiz and we drew. It was a draw, and you have a tiebreaker question when you draw. And unfortunately, we've just missed out on the tiebreaker. But it was, yeah, I still see that as a win. We did really well. So that was great. And then on Wednesday, because Mr. Sparkles was back and it was such a glorious day here, we decided to have a little trip out. Mr. Sparkles had some sewing. No, he didn't. He doesn't sew. He can sew, and he has done some sewing with me. He had some shopping that he wanted to do. So we went to Solihull and he went and did lots of tech shopping. I also made a little tech purchase, which I'll probably tell you about in another video. And yeah, we had a lovely day. And then just so happens, because Mr. Sparkles is such a lovely husband, he said he normally does a check. So whenever we go anywhere, he normally does a check of, you know, he does the fabric shops near me kind of check. And he said, oh, Guthrie Garney. And I mean, I'm amazed that he remembered that I like Guthrie Garney. So, you know, I've been to Guthrie Garney before, but he hasn't been to Guthrie Garney before. So he obviously does listen to me. And he said, oh, Guthrie Garney isn't very far from here. It's almost on our way home. And we were going to go somewhere to stop for some lunch on the way back because it was such a lovely day. So he said, how about we go there? And I was like, yes, please. So I had a little impromptu jaunt around the lovely Guthrie Garney, and I have got some footage of me walking around the lovely shop. And I have to say, I love Guthrie Garney. I love buying from them online when I see things that I like, but there's nothing like going into the shop. The shop is so beautiful. They have the fabrics laid out so beautifully. Everything is lovely presented. When the sun shines in the window, makes everything look beautiful. And the lovely ladies in there are very knowledgeable and really helpful as well, but not in a kind of, can you help me kind of pounce on you kind of way, just in a relaxed, let me know if you need anything kind of way. And that is my perfect shopping experience. So yeah, it was really lovely. And I guess you want to know if I bought anything. Well, I did. So I actually bought 2 fabrics on Wednesday. One fabric I bought from John Lewis in Solihull, which I saw when I popped in there, and one that I bought from Guthrie Garney. And then also in Guthrie Garney, I bought 2 threads. I bought one Maraflex thread and one normal Gutermann Soul thread. I haven't got the threads to show you because they are already on my little thread thingy downstairs, because they are both for the studio for projects that I've got planned down there. But I have got the fabric, so let me show you. So the first fabric that I bought in John Lewis. Now, it's already been washed. I've been on it. I have been totally on it. Now, I have been looking at these fabrics for a really long time with these little cutouts on, and I wanted a white fabric with a cutout on. But the ones that I've seen just haven't been very good quality. They haven't had that nice feel to them, whereas this one just feels absolutely gorgeous. And as you can see, it's got this little flower and then this little eyelet cut out all the way through it. The thing that drew me to it more than anything is the finish. So I am really looking forward to making a blouse with this as the hem finish and also the sleeve finish. And I am thinking of perhaps drafting my own so that I can allow for that finish. This won't be a project that I will do straight away. It will be something that I'll end up doing kind of midsummer. But you know, when you've got your eyes out for these fabrics, you kind of have to get them when you see them, and it's beautiful. So that one I purchased from John Lewis, and this one I purchased from Guthrie Garney. Now I have, if I'm going to be totally honest, I had my eyes on this and I thought I don't need this because I have got lots of similar fabrics, but I just love it. And it is this. So it is this gorgeous Andy Pandy blue and white stripe with a rainbow dot on. You know, if it doesn't scream Sam, I'm not quite sure what does. And I'm very tempted to make a shirt. Any recommendations for which shirt you think that this would be good for? I have got a lot of shirt plans. A lot of my collaborations are kind of shirts and blouses, so I want to make something perhaps a little bit different. So if you've got any kind of different ideas, then please let me know. But I know that this isn't going to stay in my stash very long. This is definitely one that will be in and out quickly because I want to wear it on my body. And that brings us on to today. Today is Thursday. Hurrah! And what I'm doing today is I'm filming this for you and then hopefully editing it so you will get it on Friday or over the weekend at some point, because I have got a very busy day today. I'm teaching and yeah, so we will see. But today is Thursday and that is what I'm doing today. So now it brings us on to plans, what my plans are for the weekend. So I have been so excited for this weekend for a long time. I've been trying to keep it on the down low, but you know me and surprises, I'm not very good at that. I'm going to sew Toon. I am. So 2 massive thank yous needed for this. So the first one is obviously to the lovely Tamlin, who is sewn all the time, because I have been wanting to get to a sew Toon for a really long time, and she gave me a bit of heads up when the tickets came up. But apparently there has been another ticket available. So there is, well, from when I came to film this, there was still 1 ticket available for Sunday. So if you're near Newcastle and you fancy 10 till 3 on Sunday sewing along, sewing social, then why don't you come and join us? Because I mean, it's gonna be fun. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. The other big thank you is to my lovely friend Mishi. So she is one of my super sparklers from my social sparkle sessions, and she's also a very good friend of mine. And she has organised that I can stay in her house, because it's a really long way to go for a social, and because it's on a Sunday, trains from Leamington aren't very available on a Sunday, so I'm going to travel down on Saturday, stay over at Misha's house, and then she's very kindly said that I could stay over on Sunday and travel back. So what is going to happen on Monday is that my social sparkle on Monday is going to be live from Misha's house. So how exciting is that? Which has just reminded me, I have to put my laptop and everything on my list for my packing. I must remember to do that. Editing Sam, can you pop that on your list, please? Thank you very much. Yeah, so that is what I'm doing. So would you like to know what projects I'm taking with me? Well, one of them I've already told you about. So one of the projects I'm going to take with me is the maze dress. 2 reasons for this. I want to get it finished. It's when things go a bit Pete Tong, when it goes a bit wrong sometimes, it starts playing with my mind. And then that's how things can very quickly turn into whips that stay whips for a really long time. So I want to get this done. I want to get over those kinds of things. And also I know that Tamlin has made it because she tested it for Victoria. So if there's any kind of questions and things, it would be good to do that then. I'm not thinking that's going to take me a very long time to do, because it is literally just pleating the skirt and putting, I've done all of the hard work. So I think that should be a fairly quick project. So the second project that I'm taking with me is this one. What is this, you might say? So those of you that watched last week will know that I bought a lovely duvet cover from the range, and it had these gorgeous embroidered strawberries all over it. And I have cut out, sorry, it's the wrong way around, this piece here. This is the back. Can you guess what it is yet? So I am actually trying my hardest to turn the new Tilly and the Buttons Frida shirt into a Frida blouse. So I have cut out the main pieces. I've cut out the placket on plain white fabric. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same as what I've done on the collar. So instead of having the pointy corner collar, what I've done is I have rounded the corner and I have put the rickrack into the seam. Now, how I did this was I used from Generates, she's got the little seam circles. So I used the seam circle to draw a line exactly halfway down where my seam allowance is, and then I laid the rickrack on there, laid the other piece on top. Then I marked again where the seam, where the 1.5 centimetre was, and that was straight down the middle of the rickrack. So then you're left with this lovely kind of finish. Well, it's not going to be like that, is it? It's going to be like that. But you can see then that that's just going to look really lovely with the strawberries. So I wanted to do this piece while I was at home, because when I go to a sewing social, I don't always concentrate. I like to chat. Don't know whether you know that about me. I do like to chat. So I thought, right, let's do the tricky bit, and then I can do the fun bit, which is constructing the shirt while I'm at the social. And Mishi, the wonderful Mishi, has organised for me to borrow somebody's machine. So we'll be sewing on somebody else's machine. That doesn't tend to bother me, because when I go into the studio, I tend to work on different machines all the time anyway. But it is very, very kind of them to lend me a machine, because I've got a very long journey on a train, and I don't think I'm going to be able to take it's going to be enough with all of my clothes that I'm going to need and my projects and my sewing kit and stuff without having to take machines as well. So yeah, I'm also going to take a little backup project, because you should always take a backup project. And I've got a couple of new pouches that I've been wanting to try. So I'm not quite sure which one I've got tomorrow. I'm going to go through my pouches and decide which one I'm going to cut out And I'll probably take a couple of those because I can get a pouch sewn up fairly quickly, but sometimes it's just nice to have a little backup project. So that's about it for my plans. I hope you have enjoyed finding out all about what I got up to on the Easter weekend and my lovely sewing weekend. I am really looking forward to my weekend coming up at Sew Tuned. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to drop in the comments what you're sewing and what you're up to this weekend, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And just, yeah, keep sewing, keep learning, keep sparkling. Don't forget to sparkle, folks. Bye for now.